Hello and welcome to another episode of the weekly wrap up. This is a series where I'm covering things that have interested me from Warhammer throughout the week, both in the hobby side of things as well as things that have happened on my channel. So this is a new format I'm trying. It's a lot more freestyle than what I'm usually used to, where I usually have things scripted out fully, and I'd love your feedback in the comments. So let's get straight into it, and I'm covering 3 things this week that have interested me in the hobby. The first thing is made to order Space Marines. Now, I was looking on the Warhammer news last weekend, and I just have a browse through what the team are announcing basically. And I saw here the fact that they had a load of Age of Sigmar stuff, which looks super interesting. I'd love to get into that at some stage when I've got a little bit less 40k stuff on my plate. Again, they have a lot of cool looking stuff, but I got down to this, and these are the made to order Space Marines. Now, from what I can understand, these were some models that used to be in the game, and they were pretty limited edition. A whole bunch of people really liked them, but missed their chance to order them. So they are made to order, these ones now, and they opened up for pre-order this weekend, and they are available until the end of next weekend. And initially, I've got to admit, I don't like the Citadel fine cast resin models. That could just be me being new to the hobby, and I'm not used to that style of miniature. So these just feel a little bit old school to me, and they don't seem to have as much detail as the plastic things that I'm now used to. But with that being said, I was looking through these. Some of them I'm just not interested in, like this one. You know, it seems okay. It seems kind of fine, I guess. This one I thought looked pretty interesting. I loved like the big axe, as well as his plasma rifle. That seems super cool. The librarians are where it really started to catch my attention. So I absolutely love this model here. And at the moment I'm playing more of my Tau. I started with Space Marines, and I've painted them in the Minotaur chapter, which is like this awesome bronze armor, and I really like it. I'm really happy with my painting style with it, and I just cannot stop thinking about how cool that would look with these models here. And at the time, I don't think they announced pricing from what I could see. So last week when it was announced, I've been thinking about it all week. I was hoping it would be in a similar price range to what you can buy characters at right now. So in the UK, I'm pretty sure I haven't bought any in a while. Drukhari were the last things I bought. Actually, that's not true, but we'll come on to that. But basically, characters I think are like 15 to 25 pounds, but in the range of like 15 to 20 pounds. And I was hoping that they would be that. I've got another tab here, which we'll take a look at in a second, but they seem to be 20 pounds across the board. So I might pick up a couple over the next week. This one, like, this looks absolutely mind-blowing. I could not believe how cool this one looked, as well as the next one. But this one with the like book on his back, he's got his big like staff just ready for battle. I think this looks mind-blowingly good. So I'm definitely interested in this one. I loved this one too. So the fact that the cherub is holding up the scrolls and he's reading from it, and then he's like leaning on his cane sort of thing. I think these two models, so this past one and this one, they're just like really cool. And even if these come back in the future, but they're going away now for a while, I would rather just pick them up, even if they just sit in my cupboard for 6 months, a year, until I get around to my Marines again. I would rather have them than not. So pretty sure I'm going to pick those two up. I think this is some sort of communications specialist. Being newer to the game, I guess I'm lacking some of that context, but this is what I love about the Games Workshop models. You can pretty much tell what they do from looking at them. So his communications array here, I assume he's some sort of communications specialist. With the floating like servo skull there. I love that. And then this guy, I kind of like this guy. I like the style of like the chain going up there. I thought that was cool, but not so much for me. And then we're back to the start here. So I saw this announced this week. Initially wasn't interested. That initial model, the one here that they load up, I was very much like, I could leave that. That doesn't bother me. But I would definitely pick up at least one of those, but probably both of them for the sake of £40. So I really loved seeing this. And out of the rest of the sort of the update last weekend, nothing else really interested me outside of that. I do want to pick up Thousand Suns at some point, so these guys do interest me and I like their models. But outside of that, you know, the Space Marines were the main thing that caught my attention. So yeah, that's the first thing that I'm covering this week. The second thing is the Votan. So the Leagues of Votan, they came out this morning, so it's Saturday at the moment when I'm recording this. And I've just spent the week, I've gone from just not being interested at all in the Votan to just starting to read some of the lore. Last weekend I watched, I think, 5 or 6 battle reports, just like consuming everything I could about them. And I've just been like leading up to when I could pick this up, which was this morning. I'm super excited to get my hands on this and just start going through it. But one of the cool things that I noticed on the lead up to launch, and this is something Games Workshop do really well, is they talked about the 5 leagues. So the Votan, if you don't know, are actually not the dwarves themselves. The Votan are like these big heads, essentially. Like they sort of remind me of the Aztec heads you used to see in like Crash Bandicoot and stuff like that. But they're like these big Aztec heads, and within them you've got this sentient AI. But over time, you know, it's I guess when it was built for that era. They weren't built to run for as long as they have, and they're slowing down. So questions that they used to get, they used to be able to answer like instantly, like really, really quickly. And over the past few, you know, I guess 1,000 years, I'm not sure, I need to read the codex, of course, but they're starting to slow down. So those same questions now take them a century to answer, and they might answer with another question, and so on and so on. So super, super interesting. This article really caught my attention because it's how they play. And I've got to admit, as a new player, this is one thing that slows me down, and I'm pretty nervous isn't the right word, but basically I'll be building these tomorrow, and I've got no clue how to load them out. And then after that, I really need to think about the league I want them to play in. And I'm sure people will be fine with me painting them whatever color I want and just saying they're this league. But I always feel like if I want them to be in a certain league, they need to be painted in that style. That's just me, it's a thing, I guess, a preference. So getting this guide here, this article I should say, where Games Workshop have talked through their playstyle of a lot of them, as well as the color guides, I thought was super helpful. So the first one is the Greater Thorian, I guess that's how you say it, league. And basically, for the dwarves, the Votan, this is like the largest league, and they are the most skilled warriors, and basically that I think they're probably going to be the most popular one. These are like the ultramarines of the dwarves, from what I can understand. Basically, they've got this warlord trait here, which they've featured. Basically, while this warlord is on the battlefield, each time you spend a command point to use a stratagem, you can roll 1d6. On a 5+, that command point is refunded. Now, I thought my Tau army was good with command points, and they are, but the fact that every stratagem you spend in this league has a decently high chance of giving you the CP back, not with how I roll, but for other people. Like this seems really, really cool. So you can be out there like spamming your stratagems a lot more than you usually could. And I really liked that. So these guys are definitely on my radar. I'm not sure I'm going to go with them, but just because I've seen a league that I like even more, but I think these guys seem cool. I also really like the white and the green style. I think by the time I've painted my Tau, who I'm painting white basically, or at least like a light grey, I'm going to be bored of painting white, so that's another slight turn off for me, although I do like the green, so I'd be interested in that. And they've got like a how to paint guide. The second league is the Cronus Hegemony. Don't know how you pronounce that as well. Apologies, I'm butchering these. Hegemony. Anyway, basically these guys are the ones that are the most warlike of them. So they've got this this custom basically within the league. Each time a unit with this custom fights, if it made a charge move, was charged, or performed a heroic intervention this turn, then until the fight is resolved, add 1 to the attack characteristic of models in that unit. So that's making them pretty melee heavy. And then the second thing is each time a model with this custom makes a melee attack, if that model's unit made a charge move, was charged, or performed a heroic intervention that turn, add 1 to the strength characteristic. So these guys are going to slap if they can get into melee. Now, for me, I'm not super interested in the melee side to start with. The army box doesn't have anything that's particularly strong in melee, but even when they do come out, my understanding is berserkers are our best unit. So for me, this just doesn't interest me that much. I do love the color scheme though. That really looks cool to me. These guys seem super cool. So these are the ones I'm on the fence. The Trans-Hyperion Alliance. And basically, their warlord trait is at the start of the first battle round, you can select up to 3 friendly Trans-Hyperion Alliance units wholly within your deployment zone. Remove those units from the battlefield and then set them up anywhere on the battlefield that is wholly within your deployment zone. If the mission uses strategic reserves rules, any of those units can be placed into strategic reserves without having to spend any additional CPs, regardless of how many units are already in strategic reserves. So this seems like you can do some really cool movement things. So basically, at the first battle round, not my first turn in the battle round, it's essentially a pre-game move, right? But it's got a lot more flexibility. So I know with my recruit, I can move them up to, I think, 7 inches at the start of the game, but that still means I need to consider, like, if I put them here and I don't get first turn, can they make it behind cover? So I'm looking at that. With this, you could almost bait the enemy, or like, you could bait them in a couple of ways, right? So let's say your deployment zone's here, you could put a group over here, and if you get first turn, then great, they're already set up. But you could also trick them, because you could put them there, almost not having to worry about what your enemy's doing, because if they set up some valuable units up here, and you're over here, and you get first turn, you can take advantage of that and flank them. So you could move them from here to the edge of your reserve, and then they don't have a strong move, but the point is it gets you that much closer. So the shenanigans you could play with that seem really interesting. You could also use it for some defensive purposes too. So you could set them up over there, and then if the enemy gets the first turn, you just move them from here to behind cover, make them safe, and I really like this. So I'm definitely considering it. I don't know what else. I guess when I read the codex, I'll find out a little bit more. But if that's the main thing they do, then it's not the strongest pull. I do like their color though. I think that looks really cool. This next one is the one I'm probably going to go with. So it's another one that's difficult to pronounce. The Yiba conglomerate, I guess. Yima, I don't know, I'll find out. But basically, these guys essentially move faster and shoot further. So I never know with the armies if you should be building on top of their strengths and sort of play around their weaknesses, or try and balance things out. So one of the things that this does is plays around their weaknesses. Dwarves do not move far, most of them 5 inches, and a good chunk of their powerful weapons are 18 inches. This adds 4 inches to the range characteristic of all ranged weapons except relics, and models in the unit have a save characteristic of 2+ basically, and a 4+ invulnerable save. That changes slightly with the void armor. I need to read the codex to understand a bit more about it, but I really like this. It really interests me, because people know already that one of the weaknesses of the dwarves is the fact that they're slow and don't have the largest range. So taking this, it might catch people out by surprise. It could just be a really good one. I also love this scheme. So having like the blue/green with the red on top, that looks super cool. So definitely one that interests me. And then this one here, I think this is the final one. Yes, it is the Urani Sorter Regulates. And basically these guys have a stratagem, which is being featured here. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Urani Surta Regulates character model from your army that has not already been selected to fight this phase is destroyed. Do not remove that model from play. It can fight after the attacking model's unit has finished making attacks. And then you basically kill the character. So I don't know how amazing this is going to be yet. I haven't looked at the data sheets for characters and if melee is where they're particularly strong. From what I've understood, some of the characters seem to be equal to the Space Marines, like lieutenants. So like the champion, for example, is pretty good, but I don't think their strength is melee. So this one doesn't interest me. Also, the paint scheme is probably my least favorite out of all of them. But again, when I read the codex, this might all change. But what this was helpful in doing is helping me at least narrow my choices down. And I'm pretty sure, without reading the codex, that I'm going for these guys, the Yaima Conglomerate. I think these seem like a really interesting pick and quite different, hopefully, in their playstyle. So that is the second thing that's caught my attention this week. The dwarves just seem really, really cool. And I can't wait to unbox this thing and start going through it. And then the third thing that's been really great this week is updates and progress on my channel. So I've been doing, since launching the channel at the start of July, I've seen some really good momentum. So I've now got over 3,000 subscribers. I'm really, really pleased with that. And you guys have been amazing in subscribing. One thing that I'm lacking is the watch hours. So I'm putting out these videos and people are watching them, but it takes me a while to record and edit these videos because it's a new skill for me to be building up. And that means that my watch hours aren't going up. So I think at the time of recording this, I've got 700 watch hours. I need 4,000 to be monetized. So I've been looking at other formats I can try. This is one of the formats actually that has like spawned that, because I need things that I can talk about weekly where I don't need hours of script writing and then recording and then editing. These are relatively quick to pull together, and it's also a great outlet for me to talk about things that have happened in the hobby or my channel or in the Warhammer community that I just want to talk about, and it doesn't need its own dedicated video. So this has been a really great format, these weekly wrap-ups. I've also run my first live stream this week, and that went really well. So I used to play a lot of video games. I still play them, you know, fairly regularly, but one thing that's always interested me is live streaming. I like the idea of building a community. I've already got at least sort of 10, 15 people who I see in all my comments, and they watch all my shorts, and they were also on the live stream. I just never thought I'd have that. I've been so appreciative of those people, and it's been great to have those people come into the live stream, give me tips on things I should be doing with my painting. And it's meant that with painting being one of my, I don't want to say least favorite, but it's definitely something I avoid doing. The past sort of 2 weeks has been great building momentum. I've painted most evenings. Whether I record it or not, I have been recording, and the live stream was great in applying pressure myself to carry on that momentum. And as a result, I've actually painted most of my Fire Warrior squad now, and now I've got the paint scheme locked down. It's pretty quick to paint everything else, so I've just got a few finishing touches to put on these guys. And the live stream's been fantastic, so I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to aim for 3 to 4 a week initially, find a groove with how long it takes me to set up, and actually hit the record button. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and then setting a consistent schedule so people can know when to expect me to come on and do those live streams. So I'm really excited about that, and yeah, just the channel growth in general. I can't thank you guys enough for watching these videos and commenting as well as subscribing. It's been huge for me, so thank you. Another thing that caught my attention that didn't make the top 3 was this announcement. So to celebrate Warhammer Day, which is Warhammer is now 35 years old. I think that's what that's celebrating, the 35th anniversary. They are releasing this this model. So if I just play this here, it's really cool. It's this Black Templar, and it's killing an orc. Seems to have mixed messages online. I'm not sure why, or if there's some meme I'm missing out on, but I absolutely love the look of this, where it's just this Black Templar like just ramming his sword through this orc. I thought this looked so cool. I don't know if the thing I'm missing out on that's a meme is the fact that people love playing orcs and they don't want to see an orc dying. So that's why I don't know if I'm missing out on something or if people just don't like the sculpt, but I love this, so I will be picking this up. I think this is awesome. So yeah, that was another thing that caught my attention this week. But outside of that, those are the things that have happened in the Warhammer world and my world with this channel. I would love any feedback from you guys if you would like to see me covering different things in these videos. And what would help me out massively is if you could like and subscribe to my channel. I'm releasing content like this on a regular basis, more from a beginner's point of view. I'm a lot less knowledgeable compared to other creators out there, but it should give an interesting perspective of how a beginner sees this hobby. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.